Well, it's a really exciting time with the latest news from the government regarding the feed-in tariffs and the implementation of the renewable heat incentive. It means businesses have got a much clearer, concise area to invest in renewable energy technologies. They're going to be able to see very clearly the benefits of making those investments in the long term and have a much more secure period to do it without so many dates, stop-start dates. So it's going to be a much easier place for people to get involved. It's going to be a much more secure long-term investment, and you're going to see much wider rollout and development in the sector. Okay, well, one of the things with renewable energy is it's extremely site-specific. So there's no one technology which fits every business, every site. So, for instance, the renewable heat incentive offers some very good benefits for generating renewable heat. So if your business has a high demand for heat, whether it be a swimming pool, a leisure centre, a campsite that has a very high heat demand, then something like a biomass boiler or heat pumps can provide you a very good alternative to oil or even gas, or even more so electric. Whereas if your business is obviously more of has a high demand for electricity, then a system such as the feed-in tariff, which will produce give you an income for using systems such as PV systems or wind systems, will be a much better alternative. So it's very important that the right system is matched up to the business and the location. But there is almost every system can offer very good advantages to customers. So if you're a small business that has a particularly high or has a fairly high electrical consumption, then the type of technologies you could look into that could really benefit you there would be solar photovoltaics, possibly a wind turbine. Photovoltaics are probably more suitable for most locations. They need to be generally sort of south-facing. You need to have roughly about 7 square metres of roof space to generate 1 kilowatt of energy. So most of the sort of commercial systems we do range between 10 and sort of 50 kilowatts for a fairly standard sort of small to medium enterprise. A system generally will cost anywhere from sort of for a business commercial system from about sort of 20 to up to £100,000, and in most cases you can get returns even with the lower tariff rates of between 7 to 10%. It's yeah, so there's basically, depending on what your business actually does and how the energy is used within the business, there's lots of different technologies that can be used to try and extract that energy and use it sort of wisely elsewhere. It's rather difficult to give practical examples like this because those situations are very specific. So generally, if you have a business that's actually creating waste heat, what we'd actually look at doing is where that heat is coming from, whether we can produce that heat in a different manner and use the waste heat to then generate electricity that can be used on site as well. So a combined sort of heat and power unit. So there's lots of exciting things that can be done, but they're extremely site-specific, so it's very important that a full feasibility study is done beforehand that explores all the different opportunities there and looks at the cost benefits of all the different technologies that are available. The renewable heat incentive that is currently now active for the commercial sector is in some cases providing some exceptional returns. Again, it's very site-specific, so there's lots of different types of wood fuel that can be used, from pellets to chips to actual your own supply logs. And generally, the more automated the system, the sort of more expensive it becomes. So we do systems from sort of small holdings, farm stuff, where they actually produce their own logs and feed their own systems, so very user intensive, but can generate returns in some cases at currently over 20%, because a lot of the labour is being done on site. In most cases that doesn't suit businesses. So most cases a pellet or a chip system can be implemented, and again it's very important that the very thorough feasibility studies are done to ensure that you can get the correct fuel supply and the correct boiler is specified. And again, in most cases, for instance, a 50 kilowatt sort of boiler system could cost so anywhere from sort of £20,000 to £60,000, and in most cases can generate returns in excess of 10%. So it can take anything from a day to 2 months to carry out, and can cost anything from free to a couple of £1,000s. It's very important that in most commercial situations that a range of technologies are looked at, and it may well be that we can actually build a roadmap of the technology which is best implemented first, and how that will interact with future technologies that can be implemented in a timeline to in some cases, sort of get you down to very, very low carbon emissions and very low energy bills. So it's very important to sort of have the ability to look at all the different technologies and see which one is best suited to the site. The number one challenge that we always have, unfortunately, with businesses comes down to the ownership of the property. So if you don't own the property that you're working from, you basically have to have the landlord on your side to implement the systems. So the renewable technologies basically have very high capital upfront costs and very low running costs. And that's something that obviously if you're on a short-term lease can be very difficult to implement. So quite often landlords will actually be quite happy to make the investment because it can give them a very good return on investment. So quite often landlords will actually implement it themselves, and this could actually lead to you having reduced bills and the landlord still making a good return. An important consideration when you're looking into renewable technologies is obviously the upfront capital costs. So renewable technologies tend to have a higher upfront capital cost than most other traditional energy generating equipment, but then they have much lower ongoing running costs. So the purpose of the feed-in tariff and the renewable heat incentive was to basically provide an ongoing stable platform for people to invest in technologies. So it does mean that either you have to invest the capital yourself, or you can actually raise capital from the private sector. And there are a number of loan schemes available where you can actually spread the upfront cost of the technology if necessary. So the capital cost of renewable technology can be overcome in a number of ways. There are specific loan facility and lease facilities available for commercial companies. In most cases, if the property you're the property owner, then the cheapest way of getting the finance is to actually add it to the mortgage of the property, and that will, in most cases, provide you the cheapest finance available. Well, some of the really exciting things we're looking into the future with is obviously on the PV side, there's always sort of, it's a fast moving industry, so there's lots of sort of breakthroughs which are continually happening, efficiencies are continually improving, and costs are reducing. One of the really exciting things we're involved in and trying to push forward is the smart energy storage and management of systems. So when you can generate the energy, store it and use it when required. So this coupled with electric vehicles is a really fantastic solution. So it's unfortunately it's a little way off yet. The systems are just starting to be sort of released in sort of mainland Europe. They're not quite ready here for the UK, and when they first arrive they will still be fairly expensive. So it's something that is coming. It's probably the most exciting sector that we're sort of focusing on at the moment. A lot of the other technologies are actually fairly mature technologies. So stuff like the biomass heating, even though in the UK it's fairly small and fairly new, in mainland Europe it's been used for many years, and the boilers are already extremely sort of efficient and work to a very high degree. So a lot of the benefits will come is combining the renewable sources. So basically where you have the ability to automatically control the different types of renewable energies to maximise the efficiencies of the systems and to minimise the amount of energy having to be brought in from the grid. So renewable energy especially plays a really important role in businesses going forward. Energy cost price rises are obviously having a very major effect on businesses' bottom lines. So by investing in renewable energies now, you can secure your energy prices, lower your dependence on external sources and those oncoming price rises, and really give your business a better bottom line in the future.